Yes, it was good, but it did have issues, just like everything else. And you might wonder, why am I starting it out? Why am I starting this video out by just outright saying, yeah, because that's the most direct and very basic thing I could say about it. It is from a movie. Take out the Backrooms, take out everything, like every bias, right? Look at it purely from a or not music, a movie standpoint. It is overall a pretty good movie, but it does have its flaws. It is very reminiscent of the Pixels film. And I bet you, alright, I bet you there was some kids, like the Backrooms fan base. Obviously you have the horror one, right? The normal fan base where it's like, that's cool. But then I hate to say this, but I think a good portion is the Roblox brain rot, Backrooms PNG people. You know what I mean? So I haven't looked at any reviews at all, so I'm going in this fully blind like a bat. But I bet there's some, not critic reviews, but like some user reviews or whatever you would call it, like actual people who are like, well, this isn't my back. This was too boring and serious, man. I don't like this. Um, and to that I say, I just find that quite absurd. But ignoring that, looking at my own personal opinion on it, I think it was very good. It did have issues, obviously, like every motion picture in the entire world has issues. Because nothing is perfect in my, well, you can't have 100% perfect, but this definitely did have some problems. But it was the guy's first movie, and he's like 20 years old, so you can cut him some slack for that aspect. But getting into mainly the pros, only the pros, I'd say the pacing for a good portion of the movie is very good. It does get kind of slow, but I do like the slowness. If you have a brain-rotted mind, though, you will not like the movie. That's a fair warning to anyone who's a brain-rot kid. You will not like the movie. It is a very, if you can't go 10 seconds without something happening for your brain to be like instantly stimulated, then no, get out of here, man. You shouldn't be watching a movie in the first place. Like, what are you talking about, man? But besides that factor, what was I talking about? I'm just rambling, non-script. I never have a script. Oh yeah, the pros. Okay, so like the pros of the movie. The pacing's well, I just said that. And the acting's pretty good. And honestly, no real complaints with the acting. Like it was, no, it was not Tubi level. I was afraid the movie was gonna be like a Tubi movie in quality. Thankfully it was not. I was just afraid of that in the back of my mind. No, it was pretty good. I like the main character. I forgot his name, and that's an issue though. We'll come into in the negatives. What else? The acts are pretty good. All right, except the third. The third act was good, but from a movie perspective, there were some issues on how it worked. But again, we'll get into that's what I'm trying to lean into. But I want to try to arrange this somewhat decently. It was very well adapted from the YouTube series. I will say that it felt in the first few minutes, the first introduction, very much like the Came Pixels YouTube series. Very nice, in that aspect. No complaints with that. That was in fact probably some of the best. And some people might complain, oh, it was confusing, but that was the point. You know what I mean? To a degree. It felt to me like the Cthulhu, the Call of Cthulhu, a short story, in a sense of how confusing it's confusing, but it's confusing on purpose, or for a more modern audience, the any Call of Duty Black Ops campaign, that's what it kind of felt like at the end. There's many more pluses. There's a lot of things I do like, but I want to get into this one negative because it's just in the back of my mind. So in the first, this will be some spoil. Nah, not really. There's not much you really can. I mean, you can spoil, but it's like there are monsters too, so that's a spoiler, I guess. But so in the first, And second act, you have your main. It's the dude, right? It's like the only guy in the movie. In the ad that I forgot his name. He's the guy who owns the store, right? For the first two acts, he's the main character. However, whenever we get to the third act, it's kind of like he just disappeared. Like, I'm just talking about from purely a movie perspective, right? This was an issue I had because I was like with the pacing. So imagine a movie where the first two acts of the movie very decent, very nice. And then the main character kind of just it switches to another character, and the main character kind of just loses. He loses the way he was, which it makes sense in the movie why it's like that, you know, but I'm saying it was such a gradual build-up, if that makes sense. It was such a gradual build-up, right? And then it kind of just went all balls to the walls, very, how would you say, like, a gradual build-up, and then it just dropped all the way, it went all the way to 11, to say. It went really crazy in that aspect. Which I think is a problem. I'm not gonna let that slide. The first two acts were very good, though. And then, so basically what happens, though, is in the third act, the psychiatrist woman, lady, whatever you want to call her, I actually don't know her name, actually, when I think about it. But that's not bad, you know, that itself is not a complaint. I don't care not knowing the characters' names, right? She's kind of like a background character, like she's a side quest in the whole game. And then she becomes the main character kind of out of nowhere. And then I get why the main guy becomes crazy, but it's kind of like you had this crazy build-up where it's like he's going to be the main guy and he's, you know, and then you're going to see his slow de-evolution and the madness. And then he kind of just goes crazy in the first few seconds. So, of being in the back room, or like after he gets attacked. Okay, yeah, so this is 100% spoilers, I guess. But yeah, after he gets attacked, he goes crazy. And I get that. And from a if the Backrooms was real type scenario, yeah, definitely. What happened to that dude? Like, it would be like a weird shift, but immediately, bro, it would be crazy. But from a movie perspective, I think it could have been done better. And just because, you know, am I walking on water? No, I'm not. Okay. I was like, what for a second? Okay, okay, this video is not about Minecraft. Oh, I'll fix this. Will all make sense later. This will be like a secret interest. But anyways, so yeah, and also there was a part where there was a manifestation. I assume this is what this is. It was not really assume. It's kind of obvious, but it's like a physical manifestation of the main character's hatred and fear, I suppose. Something like in that. I don't know. Very interpretation, and that's one thing I do like about the movie. It's interpretive to an extent, and surreal. I like surrealism and existentialism. It's very depressing, which is very good. I like that. Very nice, very nice. But yeah, that part. There is a part where he gets chased by a monster, and it does look kind of goofy, bro. I cannot lie. But it does make sense, and with the budget, it makes sense too. So we gotta counter in that. But if we don't counter any of that, it's kind of just goofy. I think it could have been done better, to some extent. And I think the problem though is they showed the monster in the light, and there's that little squiggly monster thing in the YouTube thing, right? He's in there. He looks a tad bit different, not that much. I mean, you know. But this is a weird part too. So they have that monster. They don't show it. They don't show it at all, really. Or they do, but you know, it's like hidden. It's like in Jaws, in the Jaws movie, how they only show Jaws for like 3 minutes or something like that. And I was gonna give them accolades for that, but then they do a whole 180, and then they show this other monster, kind of just balls to the walls. Once again, he's in the light. You can see him, and that kind of just ruined it. It turned more into like an action thriller type thing than horror suspense. And I think that was a problem. Personally, because you have it where it's like you have a really good build-up. I liked how they didn't really ever show the monster. It was a mysterious thing, and then you have this other monster that's kind of just like there, and then we don't You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of how they did that. I think it really could have been done a lot better, though. Some of the monster stuff. But, I mean, I guess I get it. I want to keep saying, you know, this is the guy's first movie and everything and all that, but I'm wanting to review it like from an actual critical standpoint. The camera work and soundtrack. That's one thing. The soundtrack was very good. I liked it. Was very surreal. It fit the theme of surreal and depressing, which is very nice. Very nice. I like that. The camera angles, the cinematography, you know, and all that was good. It was standard. I'm not gonna say it's good. It was standard. I do, however, there was a lot of cuts in some parts, which I wish they made it a long cut, like just one long scene with no cuts at all, just to drag it on for effect. Like, it would have been cool if there was like one where it was like the camera was moving down the backrooms hallway, and then the guy was just walking, and then it was like a 2-minute scene of just like crazy stuff like that. That would have been cool. The movie did get boring a tad bit because it got like, or no, it didn't get boring. It was a pacing issue. It went from being very slow, like comedically slow, to very quick, very fast. And I think that is I think that legitimately is an issue though. Like, I'm not about to be funny with that. But yeah. So it went really quick, or it went really slow to really quick. It started out normal paced, I'd say. Then it went really slow, and then it went really quick, type thing, you know. And one thing too, I wish they explored more is the backrooms itself. Like, there was an exploration phase, right, where it showed the exploration of like what's even happening, like what the heck, you know what I mean, like what's happening here. And he kind of explores it a little bit, like the exploration aspect, right? Like, you're feeling like you're in The Hobbit, watching The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, and you feel like you're in the journey, like that kind of feeling. That feeling does exist for a good few minutes, and then it's kind of like boom, big jump cut. Now he's already explored half of the place, and we're gonna see what he has. There was pools and that house level. I've seen. I don't know what you call it. I don't know what you call it. I like that. I like the pools reference. So that's what I was hoping. When I saw that, I got like a dopamine hit. It would be cool if there was one centralized around the pools. That just jump scared me. That background music, I'm not about to lie. I have a mod in Minecraft where it's like this medieval. I installed a medieval pack, right, to get all this stuff, to get like certain items, and it added music, and that just scared me. Yeah, where was I at? Oh yeah, the characters and all that. So, I mean, the pools and all that. Alright, so where was I? Oh yeah, but yeah, about the Backrooms itself. It was good. It feels like two different movies, is the best way I can describe it. First two acts seem like a full movie, and then the guy gets attacked, and then he goes insane, and then the main character becomes that lady. It feels like two different movies in that aspect. I wish there was more showing like him exploring the backrooms and being like, what the heck? You know what I mean? But there wasn't, sadly. And I will say I'm glad there's two kid characters or employee characters. They're not kids. I don't know why I said that. Well, they are kids, but you know what I mean. They're like 20 something probably. I'm very happy they did not try to get an emotional attachment to him. Like, they didn't try to make you care about him because they don't matter. And that is one issue, though. See, like in a movie, obviously every scene matters, right? Every scene matters about the character development and everything like that. And I'm very happy. I will say I'm very happy that the two employee characters did not, like, they didn't try to act like they mattered, you know what I mean, to the plot. Because if they spent, like, half the movie trying to build an emotional attachment just for them to die in, like, their, like, 20th minute of screen time, that ain't it, Chief, you know what I mean? So I'm very happy they, didn't do that. But it did feel like I don't know, the employee characters. It felt like they were kind of of space, a waste of space, because they didn't really. I mean, they were implanted in the movie so someone could die. Initially to give an initial fear and stuff, right? And then I assume they made it a man and a woman who are dating because it's like relatable to the audience or something like that. Not to me, but to some people. And they were a little corny, but it did make it. They seemed like genuine. What do you call it? Stoner kids, I guess you could say. And then they both died. So I was kind of happy when they died. They were annoying. I didn't like them. Yeah, that was the main issues. I just had to get this stuff out of the way. And with all these complaints, you might think I don't know. I like the film. Was a good film. Just right now, literally, just in my brain, because I'm like freeballing this, right? Right now, I'm only thinking of the bad stuff. And that's what I'm coming up with. But there are plenty of positives, like the exploration feel, the overall general surrealness. There's a scene where the woman's sitting on I've already spoiled it. Well, it's when I don't even know how to explain it. The woman's like sitting in a chair, and then they're having a little talk that lasts. I think that does last a little bit too long. I'm not trying to act like one of the brain rot kids or something. I'm not trying to be a brain rot kid. All right. Trust me, I'm not trying to be that. But it does last a tad bit long, and it doesn't. Some of it doesn't really add much to the table. Again, too, the way I see a movie, every single scene, every single part of the movie has to matter. It's like in a book, right? Everything essentially has to matter. You can't have one. I mean, and that's why filler exists, and that's why people don't like filler. Some of that felt a tad bit like filler, but I get what they were going for and trying to extend it. I do like extended scenes, like where it's like really long and excessive. I do like that. I'm not a brain rot, ADHD individual. But I do think some of it could have been portrayed better, and I do wish there was a lot of cuts in it. In that, and it would have been cool if it was like probably like a 10 or 15 minute scene. I don't know. It would have been cool if it was just one long scene. You know what I mean? Where the camera panned and stuff, and that would have been insane from an acting standpoint. Like, I guess somewhat difficult because they couldn't make one mistake, but it would have been worth it in my opinion because I like those long drawn out, no cuts. It's just pure acting skill type of scenes. But it's definitely a movie, and okay, that sounds like a bad insult. No, when I say that, I mean it's literally a movie. It is not. Oh, that's too fat. Yeah, I'll make it work out. It is literally a movie. Like, it's not a Tubi movie. It is a movie, and a good one. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm saying it's. Oh well, it's a movie. No, that sounds like an insult. I don't mean it. I do not mean it by an insult. I just mean it's not a Tubi film. Which is good. Next, we need the SCP movie. Come on, where's the SCP movie? Whoever made... Or no, the SCP's been a thing for like a really long time, right? That'll probably have... It'll probably become a TV show, actually, instead of a... It'll become like probably a 12 or 24 series of one season. And then it'll become what do you call it? A movie as like a finale type thing, and then that'll be it. And then they'll make the SCP has a lot of potential, but this video is not about the SCP. Yeah, I think the first two acts were very good. The introduction was very good. The acting was good. It's like quality. It's like I consider it good if you can't tell it. Like you know how when there's really bad acting, really bad camera work, really bad sound. You can it's subconsciously. It's like something you can tell, and you're like, this isn't that good. I didn't feel any of that. Some of the CGI was bad, but they had a budget of $10 million. So, but then again, Godzilla -1 had a budget of $10 million. So, I don't know. And that CGI was shockingly good, but yeah, some of the CGI seemed a little odd. Which oh yeah, that's one thing I really enjoyed. I liked how everything was. I assume everything, almost everything, was a practical on the set. Um, and one thing too I liked, it didn't have a message. Like there wasn't some like heartfelt message like don't bully people or stay to yourself. There was none of that hoo-ha. It was really depressing, a sad end, which I like. You know, too many movies trying to make it deep. This isn't deep. This is just Backrooms. You know, it's like nihilism and depression. That sounds edgy, me saying that, but like seriously though, I like that aspect of it. It's very sad, and we need what the heck? Wait, this has been down here the whole time. We need that more in movies. You know what I mean? I don't, you know, all the happy stuff isn't needed. Um, I need, you know, more tragedies, I guess. But yeah, if you're a fan of if you like the Cane Pixels backroom, if you like the brain rot backrooms from Roblox and those brain rot CGI things, you will not like it. If you like the Cane Pixels one, you should like it. And if you like suspenseful horror as a whole, right? Suspenseful horror that doesn't really make any sense. It makes you question what the heck is happening. There's some stuff that's a little weird happening. Then yeah, you'll definitely like it. It did seem very Lovecraftian too, and I suppose the Backrooms in itself is a Lovecraftian. It could be seen as a Lovecraftian deity, like the idea that you're stuck in this random place and you just go through it. I was a little confused with the async thing. Well, I'm not. That's not a. This is not a. This isn't bad. This is just like me. I'm not too much in the lore or that specific lore of the Backrooms. I was a little bit confused, and then they added the people in the suits, which felt a little bit forced. I can't lie. You know, like in the games where there's those people in the hazmat suits, it seemed a tad bit forced just for fan service, not the weird fan service. You know what I mean? Like the real fan service, like where it's like, or not real fan service. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, look at that point finger, look. Felt a little bit like that. Even though that isn't the Kane's Pixel one, I think, but you know what I mean. I think it could have been elaborated on a tad bit more on like why they exist, but it makes sense why they don't, and it's up to interpretation to some extent, an interpretive dance of a movie, to say, and that's not bad. It's either you're gonna hate it, or not hate it. It's either you're gonna heavily dislike it but not hate it, or you're just gonna say it's alright. In my opinion, I give it, honestly, I don't know how to rate. I'd rate certain aspects. Act 1 and Act 2, I give a 7 out of 10. 7 or 8. Very nice, very nice. And Act 3, just because the plots, it might just be because I'm a low, smooth brain, but I don't like it whenever the characters, you think this is your main character, and then he kind of just randomly dies. Not for no reason. He dies for a good reason. Like, it makes sense why he's dead. But it's like this would be like in The Hobbit, right? If Bilbo Baggins, if in the first two movies it was a trilogy, right? I don't know. Or was it? I haven't seen that in a while. Pretend like halfway, like 90% of the way through The Hobbit, it's normal, and then randomly Bilbo dies. Like, he just gets shot with an arrow, and then Gandalf becomes the main character. That's what it seemed like to me, in my opinion. Which, I'm not a huge fan of that, and I'm gonna disclose my disapproval of that. But, you know, if you get mad at my opinion, man, it's my opinion. I'm not a movie critic either, so don't feather and tar me, as they might say. You know, don't do that. That would not be very nice. That would be very scary and sad. I don't know what other people think about the movie, though, but I think it has like a 80 or 70 on Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's warranted. That's very good. I mean, that's like, it deserves such a score. In my opinion, I think it's definitely warranted, though. The score is of a 70 or 80, so it's a fresh movie. I give it a 6 or 7 out of 10. Okay, I didn't mean to make that a joke. I actually did not mean to do that. I give it a 6 or a 7 out of 10. And that's, to me, it's different to everyone, you know. Because it's kind of like the idea of show this guy who doesn't give a crap about horror movies, show him a good horror movie. He's not gonna like it. Show a guy who doesn't like a superhero movie, show him a bunch of superhero movies. It's kind of that kind of mindset. Except this kind of the suspense, the genre this is more niche, which is why I think more people are probably going to dislike it, just because it's not as mainstream. Like all this, I mean, yeah, you could say it's mainstream. It got millions of views, but comparing this to Marvel, right? That's heavily mainstream. You know what I mean? Heavily mainstream. Some more people are, and also it has like a fan base, like a crazy fan base. This is a niche. This is niche in the grand scheme of things. What do you think? What could they have done better, in my opinion? I think within the first and second act, they should have displayed how the main character could also be the psychiatrist, therapist, whatever you want to call her. Because she kind of does it. It comes out of left field, where she becomes the main character in the third, like last of second, first of third, and then beyond act. Kind of just comes out of left field. I think if they displayed it in the first and second act that she has potential to become the main character somehow, I think that could have been a tad bit better. And I think the pacing with the main guy, the furniture store owner, I think it would have been good if he died slow, like, because his build-up was really slow, his death was quick. Which again, too, I get that on a if this was real perspective, but also you got to look at it from a pure movie perspective. That's kind of just not lazy writing. It's kind of just like, okay, you know, we're just writing here and we got to do something. I think it would have been good if we saw it was a slow evolution into madness, like not very slow, but it was like a roller coaster, right? That builds up really quick and then you just fall down 90 degrees. It would have been good if it was just like, if either you had a really slow build up and a really slow decline, or a mediocre build up, which is still kind of slow, and then you had a mediocre decline that kind of set the story, kind of like in Romeo and Juliet. That's a very odd thing to compare, but like, I mean, like, with because I can't say that. They Minecraft save quit, you know, at the very end. And not at the very end, you know what I mean? Like in the climax of the play, they do that. But it builds up. Like, okay, and I know I shouldn't compare the Backrooms to a classical Shakespearean, is that a word? Literature, but in a sense, I'm using it to compare the pacing. I guess you could say the pacing of how it should have been. For you have a good point, or a wondering point, like, ooh, what's this? To the mental decline. I think also the movie may have been able to work out if it was just, the guy, like, let's say the movie took place same store, the employees were really, let's say the business was doing so bad he couldn't afford to pay them, they quit, and then, but we never see them, and we kind of just hear about it, right? And then and then the guy discovers the back rooms, and then we get like we see the other side, the async people, and then I'll sneak. And then the whole 1 hour and 50 or 40 minutes is just him going crazy in the back rooms and trying to kind of just figure stuff out. So the side plot, and I'll play devil's advocate here, right? So here the side plot would be the async people and what they're doing, and then the other plot, because a movie needs two plots. I mean, you can have a movie technically with one plot, but that's weird. That can work. It's just very rare that will work. But to play devil's advocate on that, I honestly think it would have been bad in the sense that we know too much about the async company and like what they're doing. You know what I mean? Because it's supposed to be mysterious on purpose. For like what these people are, why the people in the hazmat suits are here in the first place. It's supposed to be mysterious. So if you had a side plot where they were the side plot, I could see 100% how that would ruin it. The mysteriousness, and it would kind of just make it a very direct adaptation type of. Whoa, my! And make it a very, very direct thing, you know? And that could be an issue, so. I get it, honestly, I get it. Because there's not. What the heck is this? What? What is. I don't know. But, I do get it. Oh, yeah, I remember. I remember what this. I remember when this is. This is like that. I was doing that for something, but. Honestly, I don't. In my mind, I kind of just thought, wait, it would have been smart if he got trapped in the back rooms and someone came looking for him. You know, or actually, that could have been it. Maybe you could have had, and that's kind of what happens. But like, I mean, it would have been neat if it was like the guy owns a furniture store. Stuff happens, get trapped in the back rooms, and his comrades, colleagues, whoever, they try to look for him, right? Whoever it is, you know. But then we have like a multiplayer Resident Evil. Whoa, this is trippy. Where it's like, or not multiplayer, but like one where you switch characters. You know what I mean? Like in Requiem, you switch between characters. I think that could work in a sense where it's like, you know, we switch between the guy who's looking for him and him himself, what he's doing, what he's getting up to. It just seemed to focus too much on the psychiatrist, the therapist. I don't know who it is. And also she had background lore. She was an interesting character. Seems like I'm dissing her. No, I'm not. A good character. There's heavy potential in that aspect. But yeah. Overall, I've already said this. I'm just yapping, bro. I'm just yapping. This recording is probably gonna be like 20 minutes or something like that. Oh yeah, I've been talking for way too long. Yeah. I like it. I give it a 6. 6 or 7 out of 10. I'm not even trying to be funny when I say 6 or 7. Like a genuine 6 or 7 out of 10. Or 6.5. That would be good. Just from a general perspective, I'm not a hardcore Backrooms fan, but I've known about it since it came out. I'm not one of the new gens, and I know neither are you, or the person I saw it with. And we're not new gens on the Backrooms, so you know, known about it. I don't know, no, not the day it came out, but you know what I mean. Just like when it got viral on the internet. I don't know. Honestly, I don't really know what else there is to say. It's a pretty good movie. Would I recommend? Yeah. Just to watch it. It does get boring. It's good. It gets boring, and then it gets good. I guess, but I don't know. I think the boringness can be good. In some aspect, I shouldn't be dragging this out like this. I got all this wall done though. Look at that. I got this whole wall done. Looks a little weird, but this is like a rough draft. This is like the rough draft, and then I'll like customize each individual brick because I'm insane and I don't want to use commands or cheats. And it's not even either, but I don't care. I could care less about that. Here's my little castle too. I think this is the iteration T shaders. I can't tell you how to get them, I don't think. I don't know if I can. Oh, look how good this looks. This looks really good. But, yeah, that was my review of the Backrooms. I would recommend it. I've already said this like 4 times. I'm just yapping, bro. Like and subscribe if you made it this far. If you enjoyed this is a more casual and chill thing. I know 90% of this was hate, but it wasn't hate, it was like criticism. Right? Like, you can talk about the good stuff, you can really talk about the bad stuff, you know what I mean? You know what I mean, my man? So, yeah, pretty good, and I'm gonna see y'all later.